It's December 2025 and you're thinking about your goals for 2026. And I know I've created a video for how you can make your Notion templates and how you can make your vision board. But before you start making your goals, your vision board, and everything, I need to tell you something about approaching goals that might actually change how you approach your goals in 2026 and help you smash all your goals. So I have a script so I do not forget what I'm saying because I tend to forget what I'm saying. And I want to start with understanding what goals actually are. A goal is a specific outcome you want to achieve within a defined time frame. But not all goals are created equally. Now, how you define your goal determines how you achieve them. Not the goal itself, but how you define the goal. So now let's look at the anatomy of a well-defined goals. Now, there are vague goals like I want to be, we have a lot of vague goals, and some are like I want to get healthier or I want to advance in my career. Like for me now, I want to be more productive. These are goals, but they are just vague goals. Now, this is the a very good goal. I want to lose 15 pounds by June 2026, or I want to complete all the work I have in a specific area by March 2026. Now, the difference is specificity, measurability, and a time frame. Specificity, measurability, and a time frame. Now, there are three types of goals. The first goal we have is the outcome goal, and this focus on the end result. Like, I want to speak fluent Spanish. That is an end result. But there are other types of goals like the performance goals, and these goals they focus on personal performance relative to standard. So there is a standard, and you want to improve on your performance relative to that. Now, something like I want to improve my presentation skill rating from 6 over 10 to 9 over 10. That is a performance to a standard. The standard is 10. And or I want to complete a relay race under 2 hours. Any of it. Process goal. The third one is a process goal. Now, this focuses on the action you will take. Now, I want to study Spanish for 30 minutes daily, or I want to send 5 networking messages each week. So, most people set outcome goals, they get excited about it, and then they wonder why they don't materialize because they're sending an outcome goal. I want to be a product designer by 2026. That's an outcome goal. The secret is that outcome goal needs to be supported by performance goal and process goal. And this is where system thinking comes into play. I know you've heard about system, setting system, and order, but I want to explain it now. The problem with traditional goal setting or the way you usually set your goal is that you've probably done this before. I'm going to give you a example. You have set an ambitious goal for the new year. You create a detailed plan. Okay, I'm going to do this, do that. Then you start with enthusiasm. Then you hit an obstacle between days or weeks, maybe school, fellowship, maybe something happened. Then you rely on willpower to push through. If I have enough willpower, I just need to do it. You know that I just consistency, I just need to good. Then you eventually give up. You feel disappointed in yourself and you repeat it the upper year 2027. This cycle happens because traditional goal setting, like you see, it focuses on the destination without building a reliable vehicle to get there. Now, you know where you want to go and how, but you don't know how you get there consistently. What you do consistently to get there. That's what you don't know. Now, there are three levels most people operate at. Firstly, the intention. I want to get promoted. I want to be a product designer by 2026. This is just a wish in my head and it has no structure, it has no plan, it has no action. That is the intention. The level two, there are some people in level two, they have plans. I will take one online course per month. I will volunteer for a high visibility project, or I will have monthly check-in with my accountability partner. This is a plan. Now, this sounds productive, but what happens when you are exhausted? What happens when fellowship is your head, or when school is too much, or when you are just straight up tired? What happens then? Now, what happens if something happens that is an obstacle? Now, there are people in level three. systems. This is where system comes into play. This is where you build processes that make achieving goals inevitable. And regardless of motivation, regardless of energy level, regardless of unexpected obstacle, you have a system in place. Now, what is system thinking? System thinking means designing your life so that achieving your goals becoming the path of least resistance, not the path requiring maximum willpower. When you think about, oh, I have to use my energy to do this, you just want to give up. And I believe that's the reason a lot of people don't study their Bible, to just read their Bible, because studying your Bible takes a lot of energy. Now, a system is a collection of interconnected processes that work together to produce consistent results automatically. So instead of making decisions every day about whether you would work towards your goal, you build structure that make right actions happen naturally. So it becomes natural, like waking up. Nobody has to tell you that you have to brush your teeth when you wake up before you go out. It's automatic. It's like natural, because you already have a system that once I wake up, I gotta brush my teeth, and then I head to where I'm going to. I have to brush my teeth. Now, from when you think about, when you think, this is what happens when you stop thinking, will I have motivation tomorrow? I start thinking, how do I make this happen even without motivation? Or when you stop thinking, how do I make it harder, and start thinking, how do I make it easier? Smart thinking. Now, there are some principles I want you to apply. The first one is, I want you to think holistically. Holistic thinking means examining every factor that can prevent your success and building solutions into your system from the start. So what happens is that you have to think about every factor that might disrupt or prevent your success. You have to think about, maybe it's classes, you have 7 a.m. classes and you finish by 8. This is an obstacle to your goal, right? You have to think about solutions, and you have to put it from the start, from the beginning. You know that, okay, I have an issue. Then the process is, you have to, this is the process for you to follow for the principle. You have to define your goal clearly. That's the major thing. If you don't have a goal, what's the need for the system? Like, maybe for me, I have to get a job. Then you have to determine what success requires, what skill, what visibility, what relationship, what accomplishment do I need. I have to be active on LinkedIn. I have to learn. I have to take a product design course. I have to go on YouTube. These are what success would require. You have to ask yourself, what has stopped me from achieving similar goals before? This is not the first time I've thought about being a product designer. So what has stopped me from doing product design? You have to think about what has actually stopped me in the past from reading 3 books, for reading 20 books in a year. What has stopped me? Then you have to, there are a lot of things. Then you have to look at the obstacle. Maybe the obstacle is no time for additional projects. That's an obstacle. That's an obstacle, right? So you have to ask yourself question like, how can I delegate current tasks? Or how can I say no to less important requests? You don't have to be everywhere. You don't have to do everything. These are ways you look for solution to the problem from the start. Now, I want you to also, I want us to, you have to recycle through solutions, testing what works and what creates new problems until you find an approach that addresses the most obstacles. So maybe an obstacle is that you have to go to school in the morning by 7 a.m. and then come back by 6. This is an obstacle. Then you have to look for a way that you can put your goal setting. A lot of times, you might not have classes in between the time that you used to talk or the time you used to play or the time you used to do something else. You can use that time to achieve a bit of your goal. You have to look, recycle it. You will not get it once. And that's where a lot of people fail. They don't get it once. They find that this is not working and they just stop. You have to check again that, okay, if we are always having back to back classes, what can I do? Can I, when I finish school, when I finish classes, can I go home, eat, rest early, and then throughout the night I will dedicate it, half of the night I will dedicate it to doing what I need to do. You have to look for recycle, and then that way you'll be able to look at a solution, just be looking for a solution, because you cannot live based on your circumstances. The next one is build for repeatability. Now, your system must work on your worst day, and not just on your best day. So it requires minimal willpower and motivation. Now, a lot of times, the reason why people do not like cooking, like for me, is because it requires a lot of it requires so much so much willpower and so much energy, and I end up not really liking the food. What you can do for yourself is you have to look for a way that if it works on your worst day, even if your class fancy issue 8 p.m., you look for there's a solution, or even if you have all night, there is a solution. You have to make it something that is repeatable. Now, so you have to ask yourself questions like ask you have to test it and ask yourself these questions about every part of the plan. Would this work if I'm exhausted? Would this work during a stressful week? Would this work if something unexpected happens? Does this require perfect conditions? Am I relying on maximum motivation? It could be that you just did because you are relying on motivation. Now, how do you reduce friction? You have strategy and you can make it easier. Like instead of I will study for 2 hours, you can start by studying 15 minutes. It's easier. It's easier. Or instead of saying I would write a business plan, you can start with I write one paragraph about your idea. That's a start. You're making it easier for yourself. Another strategy is, and this is we are still under repeatability. Another strategy is remove decision points. Now, don't decide if you work on a goal. Decide when and where you work on a goal. Present your environment. Like me, I work best in a very peaceful environment. And then use the same time and place every day so it becomes automatic. So if you know that okay, I have to learn product design and I have to learn it on this dining table, this way I'm going to learn it. I just told myself this is when I'm going to learn it by, maybe I'm going to learn by, I usually I always have something to do during the day, so I learn it by wake up by 1, start learning till like 3. I made it easier for myself and I just put a time frame for myself. Now, strategy 3, you can stack with existing habits. Now, after you can say, okay, after I eat in the morning, I'll review my learning materials. Then during my lunch break, I'll send out one networking message. While going to class, I will listen to a podcast. This is stacking with an existing habit. You already have an habit that, okay, this is what I'm doing. You just stack it, you add it to it. That, okay, once I do this is the next thing I'm going to do. I hope you understand. Then strategy 4 is create accountability. This will aid in repeatability. Create accountability. Join a study group or tell someone about your goal and daily checking and weekly checking or track progress. Strategy 5 is build in flexibility. Accept some weeks will be better than none. Just know that some weeks will be better than none. That's how you build in flexibility. Just know that it's not all the time that you'll be able to repeat all these things. Sometimes it will not be able to. Something might happen. So be able to build in flexibility. So now we're going to talk about principle 3. We talked about 2 principles. Now we're going to talk about third principle. Build the band aid. Now, what are band aids? Band aids are workarounds that let your system function despite underlying problems. Now, what are some common band aids that might be relatable to you? Now, using productivity app to force focus. The real issue is attention span. Because you have not addressed the main issue, you start using things to cope, or blocking on social media. I did this during exam, and it's because I haven't developed self-regulation. Now, why are band aids problematic? They add complexity to your system. If you don't have access to your study partner or your blocking app or or you don't have it to social, like how to ban your social media, you cannot ban your social media, the entire system will fail. They make you dependent on external conditions rather than building internal capacity. So how do you peel off band-aids? First, you have to identify the band-aids in your system. Look for anything that had extra step, requirements, or dependency. Anything that had extra that, if I do this, it's going to take my willpower, it's going to take my strength. Then ask yourself, what's the underlying problem? Why do you need this band-aid? What would happen without it? If you cannot stop going on social media, what will happen? If you cannot reach your study partner, maybe your study partner is not fully fine, study partner, something happened to your study partner, what will happen? Ask yourself what's the underlying issue. Then make solving the root cause a new goal. Apply principle 1 and principle 2 to it, and then to address the underlying issue. Now, Keep the band-aid while building solution. You cannot just throw away your study partner. It's not going to happen automatically. So don't remove the band-aid until the real solution is working. Use both simultaneously during transition. And number five, gradually remove the band-aids. So you have to test whether you still need it and reduce reliance. Now, how do you build your 2026 goal achievement system step by step? So once you put all this into a practical framework, you have to number one, choose your goal. Pick three major goals for 2026. More than that becomes difficult. Just two to three major. You can have minor goals, but they are major goals. So more than that, yeah, becomes very difficult. Then write each goal with a specific outline. Note, I said the specific outline, measurable criteria, deadline, where it matters to you. Well, I said four things: specific outline, measurable criteria, deadline, and why it matters to you. Step two, break goals into requirements. Now, for each goal, this is what must happen for you to achieve it. Like maybe for your goal, it might be launching a business. To launch a business, you have to generate a certain amount by a particular time. This is what must happen for you to achieve that goal. Then requirement for maybe a requirement for launching your goal might be to validate the business idea with potential customers, to build minimal visible products, to create website and basic marketing materials, to get 10 customers. These are list of things that you need to do. List them out. And then the next step is break down your timeline from quarter to month to weeks. Now, annual goals might feel overwhelming, so you have to break them into smaller time frames that make them manageable and gives you a clear milestone. So when you start thinking, oh, I still have a lot of time. I still have a lot of time to achieve these goals. I need to accomplish these goals by December 2026, and you're in January 2026, you'll be like, okay, there's still a lot of time. But when you break them into quarter and break them into months and break them into weeks, by the time you are the first quarter is gone, you've not accomplished a particular goal you set for the bigger goal, you know that you're running out of time. Now break it down into framework. Quarter. This is strategic view. So there are 4 quarters. You break it to 4 quarters. Divide your year into 4 quarters and align major milestones to each. So you have a major goal, but you have to align milestones to each of the quarter, directing the major goal. This creates a roadmap and a checkpoint. Now you break each quarter into specific monthly objective. Now this is the month. Each month should build towards the quarter milestone. So for a quarter, it can be like I've been able to learn Figma and start building screens. That is a quarterly goal. Now I have to have a monthly goal for the first month, January, February, March, May. I have to have a monthly goal for each of them. So for the month of January, I have to be done with Figma and I have to start creating screens. That's learning Figma is not hard. I already know how to do Figma, so it's not hard. I have to do this. This is what I'm doing. Then you have to have weekly goals. This is the action level, and this is important because you have to break each month into weekly actions. This is where system operates. Weekly actions are what you will actually do. Then you have to break it down into daily actions. You have to break to this is what I have to do this today. That is going to help with my weekly goal. That is going to add up to my monthly goal. That is going to add up to my quarterly goal. So if it's, for example, to show up on LinkedIn, I have to have a content calendar. This is a list of things I have to have a content calendar. I have to schedule my apps because I know I'll be very busy. I have to research for content ideas. These are list of things I have to do. Now the goal is to reach. I have to reach maybe 500 followers on LinkedIn by January by the first quarter. Now the monthly goal will be for January. I have to have like 150 followers. That's a set frame. Then a weekly goal is that I have to at least have a certain amount. You can divide it and say I have to have this amount by this week. And that what does that involve? It involves me showing up, it involves me having a content calendar, it involves me doing this. So I have to say, okay, maybe on Saturdays, I'm going to block Saturdays and create a and work on the list, what I need to do that week to achieve my goal? And what do I need to do today? So you already have what you need to do for the week. So you have to now create what you have to do today. Maybe today, I have to do something today to achieve my weekly goal. And that is going to add up to my monthly goal. And that's how to add up to my quarterly goal. Now, this is important. I know that it's not going to be easy. I know that it might be hard, but this is very important. In this is how people actually achieve their goals. This is how you achieve your goals, by being very intentional. It takes intentionality and it takes effort. And I'm not going to say it's easy to achieve a goal, because you would feel unmotivated a lot of times. But when you set a system that reduces friction, that reduces the need for you to, it's not all the time you'll be like, I can do this, I can do this. You have to reduce a lot of friction. Anything that's going to make it harder, reduce it. And I hope this has helped you. And if you need like a blueprint on how to achieve these goals, just a blueprint on what you need to do, like what I have said, you can comment in a comment section and I would send it to you.